Hey everyone, welcome to what might seem like a trash anime, but it's actually a hidden gem. Do you have those beloved items that you cherish, no matter how old or worn they get? I'm kind of obsessive about that myself. If something feels right in my hand or I've used it a lot, I just can't part with it. But have you ever thought that objects might have a soul, or something residing within them? In the anime Gachiakuta, that's exactly the case. Meet Rudo, our protagonist. He often sneaks into the garbage disposal area to salvage usable items that others deem trash and throw away. But here's the kicker: anyone caught scavenging is sentenced to death. Rudo lives in a place called Heaven's Realm, and even this supposedly pristine world generates tons of trash. Just like Earth, the difference is, people there discard items the moment they suffer the slightest damage. A well-off little girl, for example, watches her beloved teddy bear get tossed because her mom says it won't be pretty even if repaired. So they throw it out and buy a new one. Sure, the new bear might be prettier, but does its superficial beauty truly compare to a patched-up bear that grew up with us? For me, no way. I deeply value my sentimental items. This is how Heaven's Realm became a place where objects are instantly discarded. Their true value never recognized. But it's not just objects. People treat each other the same way. The rich view the poor, the savages, as societal trash that needs to be segregated. One day, Rudo is out scavenging as usual when he's spotted by military police. Knowing he's a trash thief, the officer quickly sounds the alarm. Rudo throws trash at them and tries to flee, but the gates are sealed. The police open fire, but Rudo, with incredible agility, like Lingbo Weebu, a famous martial arts technique, dodges the bullets effortlessly. He manages to escape by scaling a wall and slipping into a hidden manhole. But not before a bullet grazes his arm. Hiding, Rudo thinks, "I'm not a thief. It's just trash they threw away. What's wrong with picking up a little?" The people of Heaven's Realm seem to live in pristine splendor. Today, they're buzzing about the trash thief from last night. It turns out even Heaven's Realm has severe class discrimination. They see the lower classes as dirty savages, and have built walls separating their two worlds, one of luxurious, high-class living, and the other of savage trash. Back in the slums, many have already figured out Rudo was the thief. His friend, Chiwa, worriedly tells him to stop, explaining how strict the city's trash laws are. But Rudo argues that the rich throw things away so carelessly that he feels bad for them. He wants to save usable items. Plus, scavenging helps him earn a living. Chiwa teases him, asking if he just loves trash. But Rudo denies it. Suddenly, a group of bullies approaches, taunting Rudo about his stinky trash, especially his gloves. They go even further, claiming Rudo's parents were murderers executed by the city. The slum dwellers always tried to maintain a good image for the city. But Rudo's father ruined it all with his crime. Rudo's eyes burn with rage, but he refuses to dirty his hands by fighting them. His glare alone is enough to send them scurrying away. Only Chiwa stays, comforting him and insisting he's not a bad person. Just as Rudo thanks her, Chiwa spots the beautiful teddy bear Rudo found and loves it. Rudo stammers, saying it's not for sale but a gift. But Chiwa's mother scolds her and pulls her away before Rudo can give it to her. Later that evening, Rudo returns home to his uncle, Reguto. Since his parents are gone, Reguto teases Rudo about trying to give Chiwa the bear, making him blush. But then Reguto gets serious, telling Rudo to stop doing dangerous things for money, as he can provide for him. Rudo stubbornly insists it's not dangerous. Reguto points out how he almost got caught and even shot last night. He then changes Rudo's gloves and bandages his wound. Rudo remains determined, saying these injuries are nothing compared to the pain in his hands. A legacy from his parents. Since Rudo gained consciousness, constant pain has gnawed at his hands. But Reguto gave him a tattered glove that somehow eased the pain significantly. In Heaven's Realm, severe crimes are punished by immediate execution. being thrown into hell. Reguto warns Rudo that his father was thrown there, so Rudo must be careful, or he might end up there too. Breaking the tension, Reguto then urges Rudo to confess his feelings to Chiwa before someone else snatches her up. But first, he needs to practice smiling, as his usual frown would scare any girl away. Despite his hesitation, Rudo takes the bear and sets off to find Chiwa. On his way, he gazes into the deep, dark abyss of hell, wondering what happens to those thrown down there, and how it swallowed his own father. The slum where they live is also an execution ground, partly to deter the savages from wrongdoing. Suddenly, Chiwa appears, startling Rudo speechless. He hides the bear behind his back and talks to her about the dark hell, and how she never wants to see him thrown down there. She urges him to stop scavenging in the city. Rudo thinks she sounds just like his old man, Reguto. Chiwa replies that Uncle Reguto cares about him, which makes Rudo blush fiercely. He stumbles backward, revealing the bear. Flustered, Rudo manages to say something cool. "This is trash, so maybe you won't like it, but I think this bear would be very happy to be with you." Chiwa doesn't refuse and says she'll cherish it. Rudo is overjoyed, practically flying home to tell Reguto the good news. But as he runs, he bumps into the military police. He decides to report the good news first, unaware that the next few minutes will be a tragedy. Rudo arrives home as usual, but instead of Reguto, he's greeted by a strange figure. Reguto lies dying. Rudo tries to save him but is knocked down by the stranger, who then takes Reguto's book and leaves. With his last breath, Reguto tells Rudo to run and change this trashy world for him. Just then, the military police burst in and arrest Rudo, framing him for murder. Rudo tries to argue, but it's useless. The whole thing is clearly a setup. All the slum dwellers gather, disbelief on their faces. Without investigation, the execution quickly begins. Rudo is strung up in the gallows. They announce his crimes, from trash theft to murder, and sentence him to death. The trash theft charge likely came from villagers who snitched, as no one from the city knew who Rudo was that night. It seems like a conspiracy between someone in the village and the city. Rudo desperately pleads for someone to believe him, but no one does. He sees Chiwa in the crowd and begs her to believe he didn't do it, asking her to stay and find the real killer for him. But Chiwa no longer believes him. She throws away the bear he just gave her. At this moment, Rudo is utterly broken. He declares that they, the people, are the true trash with hands, eyes, and minds that see nothing. Before being executed, Rudo catches a glimpse of the real culprit. Though thrown into hell, Rudo is consumed by rage, swearing that one day, he will destroy all those filthy people. Everyone thought he'd die in hell, but unexpectedly, Rudo survives, and the place Heaven's realm calls hell is actually a colossal landfill. After being framed and executed by the Celestials, Rudo miraculously survived, falling into a junkyard. But this was no ordinary junkyard. The trash here seemed to have a will of its own, morphing into monstrous creatures, barely escaping death. Rudo found himself once again fighting for survival against these bizarre abominations. People are quick to condemn criminals, Rudo thought, battling the onslaught of garbage monsters. But have they ever considered what happens to those thrown into hell? And what about those who know they'll be cast down but do it anyway? He shook his head, pushing the thoughts aside. No time for that now. Just run. Monsters swarmed him from all directions, making escape difficult even for the nimble Rudo. Why can trash turn into monsters? He wondered in fear. Those damn Celestials, throwing me into a place like this. He dodged fatal bites, but the toxic fumes were another story. His lungs burned, and he knew he was in deep trouble. Is there any safe place in this endless world of trash? Rudo coughed up blood, collapsing, helpless against his cruel fate. Is this how my life ends? Again? The image of his uncle, Reguto, who died unjustly, flashed in his mind. Rudo's eyes snapped open. Uncle Reguto entrusted me with the responsibility to change this world, didn't he? He remembered he still had a mission, to return and destroy all those celestial bastards who wronged him and his uncle. Grabbing a metal bar, Rudo's resolve burned bright. He furiously fought back the garbage monsters, but they were too numerous and ferocious. combined with the inhaled toxins. Rudo was soon overwhelmed. The commotion, however, caught the attention of another young man in the junkyard. Meanwhile, Rudo continued to hemorrhage from the increasing toxic fumes. Pushed to his limit, Rudo mustered all his strength, using a piece of corrugated iron to slice a garbage monster in half. He sighed, thinking it was finally over. But it wasn't that easy. The monster regenerated as if nothing had happened, and Rudo was sent flying, landing right where the young man stood. He carried an umbrella and wore a gas mask. Rudo was surprised. He wasn't the only one here. The man kicked Rudo away but then tossed him a gas mask. Rudo asked if he lived here and what those monsters were. The man simply gestured for Rudo to shut up. But Rudo, being Rudo, only got louder, repeating his questions. The man again signaled for silence, which only infuriated Rudo more. He yelled that he'd been thrown down from the celestial realm and had no idea where he was. The man finally snapped, screaming back, "Damn it, I said shut up. This isn't some basement, this is the surface. This is the lower realm. And all this trash? It's what you celestials throw down." Satisfied, "You damn dog, you just had to yell. And now the monsters found us." He then informed Rudo that they were banned beasts, and normal weapons couldn't harm them. More importantly, they were extremely sensitive to sound, which was why he told Rudo to keep his mouth shut. Now, both of them were discovered. Though the outburst felt good, it was time to clean up. The trash umbrella in his hand glowed, transforming into a Pro Max umbrella, easily blocking the banned beast's attacks. A horde of banned beasts stood before him, but he showed no fear, charging in like a madman. The banned beast struck by his umbrella couldn't regenerate. Rudo, watching from behind, was stunned. Is everyone down here this strong? The last banned beast spat phlegm at the man, but he effortlessly used his Unbreaker 8-slice technique, cutting the banned beast into 8 perfect pizza-like pieces. Looking cool, he introduced himself as Engine, a trash scavenger. Rudo, barely catching the words, promptly passed out, while unconscious. Rudo recalled the day he told Uncle Reguto about fighting a neighborhood kid to defend the idea that even objects had life. Rudo hadn't fought back and got beaten badly. Reguto laughed, saying he did mention that if you use an object long enough, spirits might reside within, but that story was just to teach kids to appreciate their belongings more. However, he added that he, personally, believed it. This very towel, he'd said, has a spirit, which is why it cleans you so well. Rudo, curious, asked if the table and chairs, and even the gloves he'd grown up with, also had spirits. His uncle smiled, saying, if you cherish them, one day, spirits will reside within. Rudo suddenly woke up, finding himself chained. He couldn't understand why Engine treated him this way. Rudo screamed for him to be released so he could return to the celestial realm. But Engine bluntly told him he couldn't go back, so he shouldn't even dream about it. This is the lower realm, he explained. That celestial realm is in the sky and constantly moving, so there's no way to get up there. You idiot. Rudo, fearless, continued to yell, demanding Engine tell him about his power, about the monsters, and if there was any way back to the celestial realm. He wanted to know everything so he could one day return and get revenge on the bastard who framed him. If not, Rudo wouldn't shut up. Engine was clearly annoyed. Alright, he said, I'll tell you. But instead, Engine dragged Rudo out of the endless junkyard and left without another word. Some local toughs that were surprised to see Rudo, a celestial, and still alive. At first, they were skeptical, but then they approached and untied Rudo, making him think they were nicer than that guy. Engine, little did he know, they chained Rudo onto a truck. Their true nature was revealed. They were trash traffickers. And in this scavenging business, the bodies and clothes of celestials who fell to the lower realm were extremely valuable. And with Rudo still alive, his price was astronomically high, a guaranteed windfall. The man told Rudo that people in the lower realm deeply resented celestials for dumping trash and polluting their world, shrinking their living space and threatening their existence. Not only that, but banned beasts appeared everywhere, destroying everything, making the lower realm no different than a garbage dump for the filthy celestials. And what happens when people from the lower realm encounter you celestials? He sneered. Torture. Or maybe torn to pieces? I'd love to see it after I sell you. Rudo felt despair piling on despair. Framed, executed, hunted by banned beasts, sold to scavengers by Engine, and now about to be chained and sold again. Rage must have been boiling inside him. The scavengers then generously offered him some rotting food from the junkyard. I bet celestials haven't experienced this -5-star cuisine, have they? With fury clouding his mind, Rudo bit off the man's finger and ravenously devoured the trash in front of them. Much to their astonishment. Trash? He growled. It's still edible. Celestial or lower realm. Damn you all. I'm not trash for you to categorize. The more silent I am, the more you walk all over me. I'll put all of you in coffins. With that explosion of rage, a sudden surge of power erupted from Rudo, shattering his iron chains. High above, Engine seemed to be observing Rudo, thinking, as expected, I didn't misjudge him. Meanwhile, Rudo was now manipulating the chains and objects around him with his new power. He remembered Uncle Reguto's words, if Rudo cherished objects, one day they would have souls and grant him power. Rudo gripped a chain, and it began to glow. According to Engine, this was the ability to imbue life and maximize the power of objects. Known as the Connector, the leader of the scavengers yelled at his men to beat the celestial dog senseless. They charged, but the tables had turned. Rudo now had a new power. However, they knew a Connector's weakness, their weapon. If they knocked away his weapon, everything would return to zero. One of them quickly struck the chain from Rudo's hand, but to their surprise, Rudo grabbed a random wheel, and it too evolved. Both Engine and the scavenger leader were terrified that Rudo could imbue life into multiple objects. The scavenger crew was utterly defeated. As Rudo was about to finish off the red-shirted man, Engine stopped him, telling Rudo to calm down. Rudo returned to his normal state, bewildered, asking Engine what had just happened and what that power was. Engine told Rudo that the power was too immense, and Rudo's body seemed unable to handle it yet. He then apologized, explaining he just wanted to see if Rudo would manifest that power. Now, Engine promised to tell Rudo everything about this world. In return, Engine wanted to invite Rudo to join his trash collecting team. They needed talents like Rudo. But Rudo, unfazed, simply told Engine, no thanks, buddy. Despite Rudo's initial refusal, Engine is determined to recruit him. First, Engine takes Rudo to a doctor to get his wounds bandaged, trying to butter him up. Meanwhile, Engine calls his comrades, bragging about finding a genius in the Forbidden Zone, a kid with an insanely powerful ability. He tells them he'll bring Rudo to meet them soon. Rudo, overhearing, protests, hey, when did I agree to this? Engine retorts, you don't have a choice. Kid, if you resist, I'll sell your ass off. So don't even think about it. Their argument is interrupted when the doctor freaks out, telling Rudo he's lucky to be alive. A little more exposure to the Forbidden Zone's gas would have killed him. Not to mention, he ran into those junk dealers. Engine saved him, so Rudo better be grateful. After treatment, she kicks them out, demanding they pay up and leave. As they leave, Rudo hesitantly thanks Engine, but reiterates he only cares about getting information to return to heaven, not joining some street cleaning crew. Engine sighs, saying Rudo must understand the situation after meeting those junk dealers. People in the lower world despise those from heaven. Plus, information isn't free down here. So Rudo needs to shut up and follow him. With no other choice, Rudo complies. Engine then takes Rudo for some food, figuring he must be starving after throwing up all that garbage. Rudo is surprised to find that this hellhole actually has cities and delicious food. Engine lights a cigarette and asks Rudo's name. He seems to like Rudo. The conversation turns serious as Engine begins to explain the lower world. Here, alongside trash and humans, there are thoughts, accumulated emotions. These thoughts can easily build up, and at a certain point, they create various phenomena, one of which is the birth of scrap beasts. These creatures attack humans on sight, but thankfully, they mostly live in garbage dumps. However, occasionally they infiltrate and wreak havoc on cities. Engine emphasizes that the scrap beasts Rudo encountered cannot be defeated with ordinary weapons because they are formed from thoughts. Engine then turns to Rudo's gloves. They are like knives carefully sharpened by a chef, cherished objects imbued with their owner's thoughts. Engine calls these Jinki. Since scrap beasts are created from thoughts, Jinki are the thought-based weapons that can finish them off. However, users of Jinki are rare, and in the lower world, those with this ability, like Engine, are called connectors. Engine's words resonate with Rudo, reminding him of his guardian, Reguto. It turns out Reguto's words were true. Engine adds that his scavenger crew specializes in fighting scrap beasts, and they desperately need talented individuals like Rudo. Rudo asks if joining the crew will really help him find information about getting back to heaven. Engine, looking troubled, admits, dude, I have no idea how to get up there. Rudo's face goes blank, clearly annoyed that Engine has been acting like he knew all along. Engine explains that information comes from their leader, so he likely knows. If Rudo wants to know, he'll have to join the organization and ask. Engine then asks who gave Rudo his gloves. Rudo says his adoptive father did, and they are his only important keepsake. Though worn and old, Engine recognizes them as good gloves. Filled with spirit, he tells Rudo that not everyone appreciates objects, and he should always treasure them. These words unexpectedly move Rudo. Engine then says he needs to go somewhere and tells Rudo to wait. Rudo suddenly rushes to thank Engine profusely for saving him. Engine grins and tosses Rudo a money pouch. As Rudo wonders why Engine is being so generous, Engine clarifies that it's from selling Rudo's clothes. And it also covered his medical bills and food. Rudo realizes too late what happened and is visibly fuming. Suddenly, a stray cat snatches Rudo's money and runs off. Rudo quickly gives chase. The cat is incredibly fast, making it difficult for Rudo to catch. Rudo grabs a random stick lying nearby and manages to snag the cat. Just as he thinks he's got it, a young man approaches. "Hey, that's my stick." Rudo casually dismisses it. "It's just a stick. What's the big deal, bro?" But the young man immediately lunges to reclaim his stick. He then unleashes an explosive power, showing no mercy to someone who dared to steal his cherished possession. Rudo is startled to see the symbol of the scavenger crew. The young man activates his Jinki and declares, "We just met, and I already had to teach you a lesson. Now, I'll let you taste my Jinki." He attacks, threatening Rudo, saying that while Engine may call him a genius, stealing cherished items is unforgivable. He then introduces himself to Rudo as Zanka Najiku from the Akuta squad, a member of the scavenger crew. Zanka explains Engine assigned him to guide Rudo, but he never expected to have to teach him such basic manners. "If your parents didn't teach you, I will," Zanka snaps. Rudo is furious. "What do you know about Uncle Reguto?" he thinks. Recalling Reguto's advice, "If you want others to listen, you have to concede a little. Losing your temper will ruin everything. Stay calm and consider the other person's feelings." Back in reality, Rudo realizes Zanka is mad because he took something Zanka cherished. If someone took his gloves, Rudo would react just as wildly. So, Rudo apologizes to Zanka, explaining he didn't know it was important. Zanka calms down and speaks more gently, apologizing for his own impulsiveness and for mistaking Rudo for a thief. Rudo is astonished. This is the first time he's managed to resolve a conflict peacefully. The two begin discussing their abilities. Zanka is curious about Rudo's power, but Rudo only knows he can use his gloves. Zanka admires the gloves, saying they're pretty cool. Rudo remembers Reguto telling him to smile to make friends. As he tries to practice smiling, Zanka asks why Rudo joined the scavenger crew. Rudo then gives a truly innocent, gentle smile in response, but that face enrages Zanka. "You bastard, are you looking down on me?" Rudo panics. "Huh? I didn't do anything. I was just smiling happily." Zanka yells, "What kind of messed up smile is that?" Rudo tries another smile, which looks even dumber, driving Zanka completely insane. Zanka accuses Rudo of disrespecting him, wondering why Engine would ask him to guide someone who only sees joining the scavenger crew as a temporary means to an end, while people like Zanka risk their lives daily. "So, your goal is just trash, right?" Zanka challenges. Rudo's pride is hit. He snaps back, "You dare call my goal trash? I'm serious about this. I'll take Reguto's place, change the world, and destroy the people of heaven." Both are now fuming. Rudo pulls out a toilet plunger to fight, astonishing Zanka. Rudo's ability to turn anything he touches into a Jinki is incredibly unfair, explaining why Engine called him a genius. "But even a genius can't beat someone superhuman like me, Rudo," Zanka declares. The two charge at each other. Rudo, a novice, is overwhelmed by Zanka's seasoned attacks. Zanka quickly pins Rudo down, but then he feels something smelly on his face. He touches it, then sniffs, and a powerful, pungent odor, stronger than wasabi, assaults his senses. He realizes Rudo is holding a toilet plunger, and it's covered in poop. Zanka is terrified, giving Rudo a chance to counterattack fiercely. The battle quickly becomes a poop fest, and Zanka, horrified, flees. Rudo, oblivious to what he's truly wielding, just keeps fighting. The chase leads them from alleys to the streets. Zanka accidentally trips over the cat, falling and allowing Rudo to feed him more poop. Later, Engine arrives to pick them up and finds Zanka lying in piles of, well, you know. Engine hears the story and can't stop laughing, utterly amazed that the two fought with poop. Zanka is mortified by being repeatedly covered in Rudo's attack, while Rudo remains blissfully unaware that he's using poop as a weapon. Engine tries to save Zanka's dignity by telling him he's still their best Jinki user, which makes Zanka feel a little better. In the background, Rio, the red-haired girl, is also spotted by Engine. She gets up, greets poop hero Rudo, and playfully ruffles his hair. Engine then speeds off in his supercar, taking the whole group back to the scavenger crew headquarters. Semiu gives Rudo a mask, and he gets ready for the mission with Ryu and the other givers. Looking at the mountain of trash, Rudo wonders if the people of the upper realm know that the hell they talk about is a place like this. Or do they know, and they just keep throwing people and trash down here? Despite the dire situation, Rudo sees the landfill as a gold mine. Ryu introduces Rudo to the support team, who, despite not having abilities, are crucial teammates. One of the support team members, nicknamed Golden Grip, for his ability to crush a band beast shell with his bare hands. Shakes Rudo's hand so hard Rudo almost loses it. As Rudo is still reeling from his teammates' strength, a swarm of band beasts appears. Rudo is shocked by the number of them, but Ryu assures him, these band beasts are weak and slow. They're perfect for some practice. Don't worry. Rudo can tell these are nothing like the ones he fought in the Forbidden Area. But their sheer numbers are still a concern. Just then, a more terrifying swarm of band beasts charges at them. They're strong enough to smash through the barrier. Ryu looks unfazed, seeing them as only slightly more evolved than the last ones, a perfect challenge for a beginner. With the entire swarm now present, it's time to get to work. Let's get this place cleaned up. We can celebrate and throw you a welcome party when we get back. What do you want to eat, Rudo? Ryu cheerfully asks. Rudo is baffled by her calmness. There's a whole swarm of band beasts charging at them. Ryu turns to him and says, you gotta stay chill in the lower realm to live a happy, healthy life. Rudo thinks back to how calm Engine is and realizes he lacks a calm heart. He decides he'll try to get used to it. Just as he's making that resolution, a giant band beast ferociously shatters the barrier. Ryu realizes this is a tough one. Rudo tries to calm himself down, thinking his newfound, calm heart will get him through it. But Ryu becomes serious, telling him, we can't practice on this one. I'll fight it. The strong opponent has her fired up. Rudo, however, takes off his mask. You're gonna die, Ryu yells, facing the giant band beast. Ryu pulls out her Jinki, a pair of scissors. A wave of green power lights up around her. Instead of using her hands to make the scissors, she manipulates them with her feet as they grow to a massive size. She turns into a graceful, flying powerhouse, controlling the scissors with her feet to clean up. Rudo is mesmerized, but his carelessness allows a band beast to sneak up behind him. Fortunately, the support team saves him. Even if it's just practice, you have to stay alert and focused, one of them says. He then uses his bare hands to punch the band beast, sending it flying towards Ryu, who slices it in two. The support team jumps into action, helping Ryu. Rudo watches and realizes that even without the ability to kill band beasts, ordinary people can support the givers by neutralizing the enemies, making it easier for them to fight. That's how the Scrapper crew battles. The small band beasts are quickly cleaned up, leaving only the boss. While Ryu fights, the support team tries to keep anything from interfering. But some of the band beasts that were defeated begin to resurrect and attack the support team. A young man trips and is about to be killed, but Rudo rushes in to save him. I may only be here for information and odd jobs, but I can't be a burden, he thinks. Suddenly, Rudo's power erupts. He transforms the iron bar in his hand into a Jinki, but it takes on a bizarre shape and doesn't follow his will. Rudo panics, forgetting how to use his power. He must have just gotten lucky before. The band beast easily destroys the thing Rudo created, but Ryu arrives in time to defend him, slicing the beast in half. She even compliments Rudo on his quick rescue. The support team thanks Ryu, assuming she has defeated the boss, but she says no. She explains that even though she has cut the boss in two countless times with her Jinki, it won't disappear. It's a band beast that resists Jinki, something she has never encountered before. She tells the support team to report this new type of band beast to headquarters. Meanwhile, she will keep chopping it until it can no longer regenerate. Rudo is completely disappointed in his own abilities. He can't control his power. His previous fights were just him going wild. On the other side, Ryu is now fighting with a fury, relentlessly pummeling the boss. She uses her scissors to cut off the band beast's hair, revealing a yellow weak point. She doesn't know what it is, but its discovery makes the monster even more enraged. It attacks Ryu and everything around it, even knocking Rudo away. As he gets hit, Rudo thinks about his goal, to return to the upper realm, find the person who hurt Gachiakuta, and destroy the pigs up there. But if he can't even use his power, he's useless, a burden that the support team has to protect. The man who saved him tells Rudo, I don't know what you're thinking, but if you have something you want to do, you have to run and live first. If you die, none of it matters. Ryu, now completely furious, continues to beat the boss down. Knowing its weak point, she uses a powerful move, plunging her scissors from above and successfully piercing the weak point, finally killing the boss. Ryu holds its weakness, a box cutter knife, in her hand. Everyone wonders if the band beasts are also starting to develop things similar to Jinki, making them stronger and harder to kill. In a different, dark room, the junk dealer Rudo punched wakes up. A dangerous-looking person is questioning him about the whereabouts of the child from the upper realm, Rudo himself. The garbage scrapper crew's vehicle slowly makes its way back to headquarters. Traversing the desert. It's hard to believe this is the lower realm people talk about. The desert is desolate and lifeless. Yet it's littered with so much trash. Engine's crew speeds through a dark tunnel, then slams on the brakes. Alright, guys, we're out of gas. Time to get out, Engine says. Zanka and Ryu are familiar with this place. But it's Rudo's first time, and he's completely overwhelmed. Inside, Engine introduces Rudo to a girl who looks incredibly cool. This is Semiu. Engine explains. Everyone who comes here has to let her check them out. As soon as Semiu sees Rudo, she skewers 2 flies buzzing in front of his face with a fork. Welcome, she says, complimenting his potential. Semiu has already heard about Rudo's abilities from Engine, and she wants to see his potential for herself. Engine tells Rudo that Semiu's Jinki is her glasses, which allow her to peer into a person's true nature. Rudo is surprised. He never imagined a Jinki could be used that way. Semiu activates her power, and her glasses begin to glow. As she looks at Rudo, she sees nothing but a blurry haze, and her power is knocked back. Semiu realizes she'd forgotten that Rudo's physical strength and compatibility with his Jinki are excellent and don't require basic training. However, his power control is still unrefined, and he'll need to practice to use his ability naturally. Also, she notices something else. By the way, you have something on your neck. No wonder so many flies were buzzing around you. Engine bursts out laughing, remembering Rudo and Zanka's poop fight. Engine says goodbye to Semiu and takes Rudo to meet his boss. Semiu, however, is troubled. She couldn't see Rudo's true nature or potential at all. On the way, Engine explains the organization to Rudo. The group has about 100 members in total, but they're scattered everywhere on cleanup duty, so it's rare for everyone to be at headquarters at the same time. Rudo assumes his introduction to the other members will be a small affair. But when Engine opens the door, they are greeted by a massive crowd. Everyone looks incredibly serious, as if they're about to fight. Engine, startled, quickly closes the door and tells Rudo they'll do the introductions another day. They head to the boss's office instead. As Rudo is about to enter, Engine stops him, giving him some instructions. Most importantly, he warns Rudo not to ask about the boss's Jinki. No one knows what it is, and the boss doesn't seem to talk about it. Despite this, everyone on the crew follows him because his strength is unbelievable. Rudo feels the pressure, but when they open the door, the room is empty. Semiu happens to be walking by and says, "The boss is away on a mission." Rudo is disappointed. Now he doesn't know where to get information. Engine says that once the boss goes on a mission, it takes forever for him to come back. Ryu comes over and suggests, "Since we can't meet the boss anyway, why don't we let him do some practice work?" She also wants to get to know Rudo better. Semiu gives Rudo a job. A report says a pack of small band beasts is approaching a barrier near a polluted town, and they need to eliminate them before they cause trouble. Rudo asks what the polluted area is. It turns out to be the same giant dump he saw before, but Engine simply calls it a landfill. Semiu scolds Engine, saying he's spoiling the kids. She re-explains it herself. The lower realm is divided into 2 areas. One is the safe zone where humans live, and the other is the polluted zone, filled with trash and where band beasts appear. Semiu also reveals that the place where Rudo fell from the sky is the most dangerous part of the polluted zone, a forbidden area. There are currently 6 forbidden areas in the world, and ordinary people die instantly if they enter one. Even powerful givers can't handle all the band beasts inside. Semiu notes that it was a miracle Rudo found Engine since givers are rare, and not all of them are as strong as Engine. Semiu then asks Engine why he was in a forbidden area. Engine casually replies that he was just taking a stroll.